we're going to launch straight into our next Fireside with Peter from Schroders, and talking about how a data strategy is absolutely fundamental to effective AI, and vice versa, possibly. If there are any questions that we've only got 20 minutes, but if there's any questions that you'd like to ask as we're going along, try and catch my eye and put your hand up in the room. We'll get a microphone to you, which is very important so that people online can hear. And if you're online, then if you want to ask a question, your questions will come direct to me. Use the chat function on the right hand. I think is that your right hand side of your screen, and they'll come straight to me, and I'll put your questions to Peter. So, Peter, let's kick off. A data strategy being fundamental to AI. Just now you said, look, it's about going back to basics. Can you illuminate?
Yeah, I think that everybody realises, the classic thing, rubbish in, rubbish out. You can't train LLM models on bad data, otherwise you'll get a bad output. And it's the fundamental of that is really good data management. And to get good data management, you need a data strategy. So I think that a lot of organisations who are wanting to head down the AI route, and let's face it, the CEOs, the COOs are all coming back from their flights across the pond, reading the latest newspapers, and they're saying, we must have AI by Thursday. The response from somebody like me is, we must have really good management by Wednesday then.
Yeah. And what does a good strategy look like? What does good data management look like?
Good data management is based a lot on data governance, around ownership, quality, lineage, cataloguing of data so people know where to find it and which data sources to use for different parts of training. And a lot of that is around behaviours in the organisation. It's not just technology. It's a lot around behaviours and people understanding how they've got to treat and manage data. And I think AI has added a whole new layer of the data value chain, whereas we might have been driving data out into regulatory reports or into client reports or into a Power BI dashboard or something like that. All of a sudden, we're now feeding another endpoint, which is AI. And those of us who are old enough to remember when AI was machine learning know that you've got to have really good data to go into machine learning. If you're teaching something, it's got to learn on really good quality material.
And I was talking to some people in fintech a few weeks ago, and they were saying that actually AI is wonderful at exposing how rubbish your data actually is. Because it's only once you've installed the specific use case, that specific app or whatever, does AI tell you that your data strategy and management have been wrong?
Quite possibly, but I think that goes around to the people and education and culture piece. Yeah. Just because you get your piece of information out of an LLM doesn't mean it's right. And I think that that's one of the problems we've got with the mass use of ChatGPT and OpenAI and Gemini. People get an answer saying, well, that's right, because it's come from, the computer says yes. But I think that if you understand your data and you have your feel of your data, it's what my old physics teacher would call the physics answer. Does that look right? Does it sniff right? And I think you've got to have people who are prepared to challenge the output. And that then comes back to the ownership of data and people understanding, well, that's not right.
Which actually touches on what Anik was saying in the previous keynote, and about how the regulators are actually regulating the people because they recognise therein lies the weak link.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the senior managers framework in financial services is a good example of that. Yeah. I think also with that point is that feedback loop from the output of the AI back to the data management. In other words, can we adjust the data management? Can we improve the data management to actually improve the output and keep measuring that feedback loop?
What are companies doing wrong?
I don't think...
How long have we got?
I'm going to be bold here. Apart from Schroders, of course.
Who do everything.
People aren't investing. I don't think organisations are investing enough money in good data management. And I think part of the problem is they don't know where to start.
Exactly.
It can seem absolutely overwhelming. And so to get good data management, you then have to enable it, how to eat the elephant. You can't eat it all at once. So you need a good strategy is how you're going to consume the important parts of that elephant strategically to get the outputs you need.
It's not a very sexy subject, is it? If you want to sell your CEO a shiny new toy called an AI app or whatever, that's easy, isn't it? Not quite. But do you think boards and leaderships are on board with what you say?
I think if you link data management and data strategy to value, and let's face it, AI and AI output may be just one way of realising the value from good data management. If you can link it to value and either scalable growth of the business. Let's face it, bad data management for us in asset management continues that deathly link between assets under management and cost. They just rise together. Take on a new client, take on more people. Good data management breaks that, so it allows you operational efficiency, it allows you to scale and grow efficiently. Good data management might bring in new revenue. Good data management might reduce regulatory risk. If you can link data management and data strategy to value in those terms, regardless of whether it's AI, machine learning, whatever it is, then they will listen. But they're going to ask you to prove it.
Can we, I don't know if this is a fair or unfair question, if just sort of make it practical, take a big company, a multinational with legacy systems, happy days, and you're briefed by the boss, I want a shiny new toy. Let's use AI to change my world. Where the hell do you start?
I think I'd start by asking that boss, what are your business goals? What are you trying to change? What are you trying to achieve? Is it increase your share price? Is it increase customer satisfaction? Is it to increase customer base? Is it include revenue? Is it to increase that cost operation model? Ask very clearly, what is it you're trying to achieve? Because then you know what target you're after. I then, in the picture you painted there of a vast multinational legacy estate, I would very much take a data mesh, a data product approach. So rather than trying to fix the huge legacy estate, I'd identify the data I needed to achieve the business goals I needed, bring that data over here in a very governed way, understanding where it came from, who owns it, build a data product and drive my output from the data product.
I use my very good friend ChatGPT, who knows everything.
I shall judge the output of this.
Yeah, do. It needs some human verification, I think. So I typed in, what do I ask Peter Jackson from Schroeder about a data strategy being fundamental to effective AI? So here's 2 questions from my very good friend. Tell me if they're rubbish questions or good questions, and then do your best to answer them. So his or her first question was, given your experience across sectors, which I thought was a good start, yeah. What's the single most overlooked element in building a data strategy that actually delivers value for AI initiatives?
That's a very good question.
It's a good question.
Yeah, and I
wish I'd thought of it.
And it got my cross-sector experience, because I've been in utilities, I've been a financial services regulator, I've been in asset management, I've been in pensions. So my experience is people. That's the bit that's forgotten. People. It's the culture. You have to create this culture around valuing data. You have to create this culture. And it's from the very top. To answer, you asking that question, how do you convince the board, the exec team, that this is worth doing and worth investing in? So you have to create that culture from the very top to the very bottom, to every part of the business. Everybody is touching data. And if you want people to become data stewards and data product owners and data domain owners, you've got to create that culture where they know how to do it, they're happy to do it, and they know what's asked of them.
This ties in so beautifully with all of the panels that we've had and the keynotes we've had so far this morning. Everybody seems to be saying that the people, the human factor, is the bit that's left behind.
Yeah.
The shiny new toy is great, tickety-boo, but it's the whole business approach. And from your perspective, it's the business approach towards data. What does that mean for me, a humble, medium ranking, going nowhere, nothing, sort of close to the shop floor? What do I need to do? What do you need to be doing to help me along?
I think I head up the Schroders data office, and part of our role is to address those asks and those needs from the person you've just painted, to make sure that they're equipped in the new data-enabled world to play a role. That means either upskilling them or... I think the thing I'm most afraid of at times is people don't know what they don't know. And I think that's what we've got to help them understand. There are things they don't know, and then here are some of the things they don't know which they need to know. And it's not everything. You don't have to have everybody to be a Python coder or develop LLMs and know how to train data and things like that. But for the role they're in, what do they actually need to understand about their data? And it may be just their part in the data value chain. You think about a sales funnel, you think about leads and prospects coming down the sales funnel. Every person involved in that, whether it's a sales team writing in meeting notes or something, that data is part of the sales funnel.
But I can see that entirely, and it makes total sense. And it's very important from your perspective. That's what you live and breathe. Is it realistic to suggest that that mentality will flow through the organisation around through the middle management? How do you enforce it?
I think that's the challenge. That's a very real challenge.
Yeah.
How do you enforce it? I think that it's a lot more carrot than stick. So I don't think it is enforcing. I think you need a lot of carrot. You need a lot of very senior sponsorship to say, this is what we're going to do. This is our data strategy. And unless the exec team and the board support that, I think you'll really struggle and even fail. And I think that's why we've seen over the last 10 to 15 years, a lot of data strategies fail. We've seen a lot of chief data officers struggle to achieve what they need to achieve because they haven't had that level of sponsorship.
Okay, there's a question in the room, but before that, if I may, one further question from my very good friend, ChatGPT. Should data strategy be led by technology, by business, or by both? And to what extent does that shape the effectiveness of AI across an organisation?
Oh,
good question or rubbish question?
Great question.
Great question.
Because the answer is neither. The data strategy should not sit with technology. It should not sit with a business. It should sit with a data team. It should sit with a chief data officer. Data is a specialist skill. Everything from data modeling, understanding ontology of data, through to understanding how data is used to train LLMs, how data is used to drive Power BI dashboards, or how data quality affects the assurance and quality of data for regulatory reporting. That's a specialist skill. And you sit between business and technology, and you have to be able to speak both languages. And so the data strategy should be owned by data. The clue's in the name.
So, sort of a great question, ChatGPT, but you didn't put your finger on the button, did you really, ChatGPT?
No.
Excellent. That's great. Sir, you'd like to ask us a question. Can I ask Amber if we can bring a mic over to the front? Thank you.
My name is Mohammed, and I have another good friend. Can be compared with ChatGPT, but it's fine. A simple question. Do we have enough knowledge to be converted into data? And what is the relationship of that data into strategy?
If I think I've understood your question right, do we understand enough about our data in any organisation to create a strategy from it? I think that's a very good question, but I think you actually start from the top of that. Do we understand our business goals to create a data strategy? And there, do we have the data to deliver that strategy? If I understood your question right.
To some extent, yes, but I just want to be more specific. Do we have the knowledge of the specifications of any situations which we are in to understand the whole scenario, to make that scenario, apologies for my psychology, to convert that knowledge into data which can be used for different scenarios?
It's an interesting question, because I normally think of data the other way around. I think of a thing called the Dikwa pyramid, where you have raw data at the bottom and you curate, collect and contextualize data to make information. And from information, you then get knowledge. And from knowledge, you then get wisdom. And I think about it that way. I think one thing we don't know enough about in many organizations is our data. I think there's dark pockets of data we don't know about. And that's driven by very much the siloed organisation of data within businesses. I've just been talking about an example today where finance are dealing with client data and clients are dealing with client data. Are they talking to each other?
You were talking about getting the right data to program LLMs. If you haven't got the right data, people talk a lot about using synthetic data to test your model and develop your model. That strikes me that all pretty well and good if you have vast resources, but it introduces a huge risk, doesn't it? Synthetic data to test your models?
It can. I joined Schroders in September, and I spent the last 2.5 years at an AI startup in West London called Outra, privately funded by a UK billionaire, and we were producing synthetic data of the 30 million households in Britain, and we were producing synthetic data for 2,633 data points on every household in the UK, and then building propensity models around household behaviour from that.
So synthetic data is a great thing.
If you actually put and understand the quality of your output from your machine learning, in other words, you know your accuracy, you know your false positives, you understand your false negatives, you understand the where you're going to draw the line between what is usable in a model and what is not usable in a model. So you have to really understand the quality of your synthetic data. So therefore, you have to understand the quality of your data.
And how do your data systems, your data management evolve as AI evolves? I suspect that most data teams have enough problems carrying out the functions ahead of them, let alone the constant evolution, which is every few months.
I think you're right, and I think that COVID almost trained us ready for that. I think that AI is making that whole journey you're talking about go faster. Demand is getting greater and greater and greater because the CEO does want AI by Thursday. So that means we've got to do things faster and faster and faster. But COVID actually, and the comment I was making during COVID's onset was the demand on data from organisations, whether it's the NHS, whether it's the government, or whether it was the company I was working for at the time, Legal and General, the demand for data just got more intense and it needed it quicker and it needed to be able to trust it. So I think that AI is just making that demand even sharper and we're having to deliver faster and faster and faster.
I was in the NHS at the time of COVID. What a happy time that was. And more than ever, you're so right, more than ever, they turned to data to change their models of care delivery. And I think we're seeing some of the benefits of that now. So perhaps you're proven right.
I think there were new ways of working. We learned how to accelerate and how to do things at pace. Yeah.
Yeah. So finally, just talking about the future, any advice for data managers and for their data strategies? What should they be looking at right now and in the medium term?
I think the first thing is to hang off the coattails of AI. There's a lot of money around for it, so hang off the coattails on it. I think those of us who were around in 2016 and GDPR started becoming a thing, we did a lot of good data management as a result of GDPR budgets. Yeah. So I think that see your opportunities for the funding streams, and that is AI at the moment. So use that to get good data management practices in place and don't cut corners.
And how about a transformation within your company to make your data ready, to make your data ownership and use and your actual data effective? What are the key things that they should be working on right now and thinking about for the next 3 to 5 years?
That is an excellent question, and it didn't come from ChatGPT.
No, I thought of it by myself.
I think that's an excellent question. I think for me, the key is to build your data management transformation, your strategy around the other business transformations that are going on. Mm-hmm. So business transformations and change will be funded across the business on an annual or 3-yearly cycle or whatever it is. Tie your data transformation management into those things because those transformations will need good data. And really, they should start with the data, not end with it. So, for example, if people are talking about installing a transformation, they're going to change their customer interaction, increase customer satisfaction, and they're going to put in a new CRM system. Well, the starting point is, how are you going to get your data out of your old CRM system into the new system, and what shape do you want it to be in, and how are you going to manage it so you can constantly, accurately talk to clients, accurately service clients, accurately do attribution. So tie your data management into the transformation programs.
And one final question. I'm thinking ahead to later in the day. We're talking about cloud migration strategies. What do you say? Data handled in the cloud or on premises?
I've always challenged the concept of a lot of organisations that have cloud first, because that often gets translated into cloud only. I think cloud first, assess it, see if it's right, but there are some instances where you may well be perfectly justifiable to leave some things on-prem.
Which I know is the view of somebody who will be taking part in that panel discussion. So thank you for looking forward to that. You know, what you've said ties in everything that we've heard so far on stage 2 today, apart from the stuff about CEOs wanting shiny new toys and you saying, whoa, boss, just one sec. It's about a business first culture rather than a silo culture, of course. And what everybody today seems to be saying is that it's about the people, stupid. It's people. The rush for technology is sort of over. We've done that. And now it's the looking after the people side in terms of upskilling, reassurance, and training, and the need for human verification.
Yeah.
seems to be a theme we're drawing out today. Did you sort of agree with that?
I do agree with it. Yes, absolutely.
Thank goodness. Another insight that didn't come from my good friend ChatGPT. Peter Jackson from Schroeder, it's been brilliant. Thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.